it's funny, just the ups and the downs of the whole project. And then when you get to the middle of it, you actually get over that hump of, okay, I've got something and I can work with this and stuff. And that's when the euphoria starts hitting, coming in and stuff like that. And then you're jumping out of bed, and then you get to the end point and you're like, oh, that was great. Can't wait for the next one. And then you're back in the whole cycle again.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think I was even going to do a rant on this about the podcast, but the project cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced this where, we're super excited at the very beginning. It's just like, we're going to get going on this and things are going great. And then you realize, about 10% in that this is going to be pretty intense project. Yeah. You hit the middle and it's just like, oh my God, I don't even want to wake up today.
Yeah.
And then you climb back up.
Yeah.
And eventually gets better towards the end. But even in the midst of that, when you've made that commitment to like a big project, it seems like something, and I don't want to say something bad, like some kind of breakdown happens in your life right in the middle. It seems almost inevitable that when you make a commitment to something big, there's some kind of major breakdown in your life.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can never plan for those things, but that's that you just got to roll with them and deal with them. And I think we were also talking about this before. It was like, especially when you're dealing with a client, you've got to be able to set the appropriate expectations and
keep the deadlines,
but also do the communication.
Yeah.
And, if you're on the ball and you tell your client, hey, dude, sorry, something's come up. My kid's at school, I got to pick them up. They're sick. The dog's barfing all over the place. Anything, they'll understand. But if you come back and they've given you something and your radio's silent for a week and you miss your deadline because, hey, your kid's in the hospital or you've come down with something, you can't work the deadline comes and they're like, where the hell's my stuff? And you're like, oh, sorry. That's not gonna work.
No, certainly not.
No, you gotta be in, not hourly minute kind of thing, but just give them something every day kind of thing. Send them an email like, here's what I've done. This is my work in progress. What do you think? Or this is where I think I'm at this project. Or this is what just touch base. Yeah.
I'm guilty of sin, I think last year was some tough lessons in this, and it was really important that I go through what I did to learn what I did as well. But I definitely dropped some balls there with some clients.
And I think that's, I kind of learned that from the other side of the fence where I was a program manager and a project manager, was that I called that more as a professional pain in the ass, where I would be going around to my team and like, where are you at? What are you doing? Just tell me how you're doing. Anything I can help with. That's the kind of thing. They kind of learned that, that was my style. I just needed to have that communication. And so I try to pass that on to my clients as well, as, okay, your expectation, you've just given your baby to me to just screw around with artistically, and I've got to be able to make you feel comfortable with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and so forth. How can I do that? It's all about communication.
Yeah. I learned some big lessons about project management because of what I went through last year. and I think that's maybe one thing too that artists need more of. Is learning how to manage their projects and get it done efficiently and be in touch, not micromanaging, but be in touch with their band or artists or producer, whoever is involved, and just be like, how are you doing? Like, actually on a human level, find out if they're okay. And if they're okay, great. Are they feeling overwhelmed? Okay, well, maybe we need to come back to this a week from now and see if they're doing any better. And that's, those types of responsibilities are kind of lost on the social media texting generation, right? Where it's just like, oh, I send an email and you get the work done, right? Nope. Doesn't work that way.
No.
It really doesn't, because I've been burnt out like that before, to where it's like, I'm sorry, I guess, would have loved to get this done for you, but I'm
Yeah.
burnt out already.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, well, I'll share this one story with you, whereas it was one of the last jobs I did before I jumped ship into this career. We were opening up the science fiction museum down in Seattle, and it was coming up to the last month of opening and stuff. And my boss she worked at JPL, and she was one of the ones that launched and managed one of the Mars rover missions. And so she's coming from an engineering standpoint. You got to have work breakdown structure, schedule, all that sort of stuff. We're coming at the last month here, and she's like, "Oh, well, you've got put out a schedule and put it out to everybody, and explain everything." And I was like, "Bear with me here."
Yeah.
No, I think what we're going to do is every day, like every morning, I bring in all the team leads to one place and just sort of go around the table. Okay, what's going on today? Who's got a problem that needs to be fixed? And everybody talk to each other and go, kind of thing. And that was so much more efficient. Everybody was able to fight fires better, and the communication lines were open and that kind of stuff. You just got to talk things through.
Absolutely. I think that's huge. Just doing daily check-ins, great. Yeah, if you can do that. At least weekly, I would say, just to make sure that everybody's all right. Because I know in my world, a week could easily go by without me answering my emails. So.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I am definitely constructing, or at least beginning to think about some kind of audio program I could do on project management. Of course, if we frame it as project management, no one's going to want to buy that.
No. That's death knell right there.
Yeah, it
dude.
really is. I was going to call it like rockstar project manager, but no. Has to be a little bit more appealing.
Yeah, you got to come up with something a little sexier than
Definitely
that.
something sexier if I want to sell a few of those, which I do. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, that's great. I think, just that human connection. Unfortunately, it's so easy to get lost, right?
Yeah, it is.
When we are only connected digitally a lot of the time. So.
It is. Yeah, and I think. I was just talking with a couple of people, checking in with people that I haven't heard from lately on social media. And that was one of the, things like, you don't know. Like one of them was like she was going through this real rough patch, and she had to disconnect from social media, and, she was almost having like a nervous breakdown of things and stuff. And she's like, "Oh my God, thank you for reaching out and talking to me and stuff like that." And that's the kind of stuff that it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And it's, being sincerely connected to your clients and connected to the people that you work with on a daily basis. Well, you could have worked with them last week, or you could have worked with them 3 years ago, but just every once in a while, like that's the thing. I'll just scroll through my feed and see a picture of something or somebody, and it's like, oh, I haven't heard from them. I'll just gotta reach out and talk to them and stuff like that.
It's just that simple, and that's I think that's the true intention behind, or the right way to use social media.
Yeah, I totally avoid those political conversations.
Oh, yeah, no. I've personally seen where that can go.
Oh, my God. No.
Yeah. I think I had, it was a fairly neutral comment about what was happening in the States, but pretty soon, I had a friend who was like, "Oh, I'm defriending you right now." I said, "Okay, I guess we're not friends,
Wow.
We never were."
Yeah.
Because you don't really know the spirit with which this is coming from.
Yeah.
But, But there's Eli Goldratt came to mind, and the Critical Chain. He wrote a few books about project management, right? And how so many of them actually never get it to the finish line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, especially artistic projects. I've seen all those, you see the memes of like, I've got a great idea. Well, what about your 10 unfinished ideas that you started?
Been there, yeah.
I think everybody's got these unfinished things on, you probably saw me opening up my list there of all these things.
Yeah.
Half of those are unfinished ideas I have. But it's one of those things where you just, unless you have, a specific project that you're doing that has a deadline, it's hard
Yeah.
to finish something.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And especially something happens too when you realize that time's limited and energy is limited, and you're staring down the barrel of 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And realizing like there's only so many things I'm going to get to do here.
Yeah.
I got to choose now.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Yeah. And especially if it's just for you. I find the stuff that I do for other people, always, it has to get done.
yeah, of
obviously.
course. And that's one of the reasons it does get done.
Yeah, but I did write this piece that got, it was sort of half done, and I started talking with his band director at a local school, and he was like, "Oh, I like this. Oh, do you want to do it for the spring concert coming up?" And I was like, "Okay." And that was one of the things that's sort of like, okay, this is the impetus to kick me in the butt to do this and finish it and get it done and stuff like that. But otherwise, I probably would have just been going around and circling the drain every time I like open it up and sort of fiddle with it a little bit and close it and forget it and that kind of stuff. But this was one of those things where it's like, I whether it's I don't know if self-imposed deadlines work for, maybe it works for some artists, but
Yeah.
I think most people, self-imposed deadlines are so easy just to like, whatever. And you pass over them. But, just having somebody have an external, deadline and expectation of having a finished product at this point in time, it really is a kick butt kind of thing to get you going and finish something.
One of the things I've realized on that too is just issue the release. That's something that artists don't do, but labels and big companies have done for years, decades, millennia. I don't know, but
That's
if you
true.
issue the release and say it's going to be out by this day, and here's the description, and here's what I'm building towards, not only are you clear on what you need to do, but now you're kind of accountable to your fans to get it done.
You do have to have a fan base to do that.
Yeah, otherwise nobody cares. But,
But I guess that's the thing is like you've to get to that point, you've probably gotten over that hump of I'm so excited to do all this stuff, and I just want to share it with the world kind of stuff. And by the time you've got that fan base, you are in sort of that rut.
Exactly. I mean, I used to have whiteboards filled with ideas. I want to do a jazz instrumental album, and I want to do an acoustic rock album, and all these other things. And instead, what I end up doing is just releasing EPs or albums that are all over the map in terms of genre, so that I get to express all of it. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's one thing I missed. It was one of those last. I don't produce many artists or anything, but the last one I did, she put out an album of, it was all over the place, and that was like, that was one of the concerns which she came up with was, is it supposed, like this was her fourth album she did? Yeah, the last three I guess were pretty well, they all sounded like, all the songs seemed to fit within these parameters of sound and style and so forth. And she really wanted to do something different. I was like, well, that's sort of what my favorite albums were. You look at like the Van Halen one, or not to dwell on that, or go to Genesis or Peter Gabriel stuff. It's like that stuff from the 80s it was all over the place. Yeah, like in terms of style and genres and things that they were experimenting with. And I was telling her, like, I was asking her what her favorite album was. It was sort of the same sort of thing. Yeah. I was like, well, why do you have to have a certain genre and a certain style and a certain sound on every single track? It's like, this is the place to showcase your stuff, show them what you are and stuff. And I think that's so cool to be able to do that. I miss that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it just comes down to strategy. Like if you really have those big label aspirations or whatever, you may have to establish yourself in a specific genre or style. But if you want to do it for yourself, for your fans, for the enjoyment of it, then why not express all of your creative sides?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And I think she loved the way it turned out and stuff.
That's
That
awesome.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
So it was like pop, rock, jazz, just
All over the,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A little bit of blues in there.
Blues,
and,
nice.
Yeah, we had electronic stuff. We had a 3-piece bands in here, and there was one where it was just, singer-songwriter kind of stuff. So yeah, it was all over the place. It was great. It was great. It was good fun recording it. We spent a lot of time on it. It was just one of those things. It's like, okay, is this done yet?
It took a while. Yeah. Was it all the layering of tracks, or was it the backing vocals? Or?
Well, there were some where we were just like, we spent weeks just layering vocals and trying different things. And like, there's one song where she was doing a, operatic singing and at the end of one and stuff. And it was just like, we were just trying out all these things. And it was, it was fun to experiment. So a lot of it got thrown out, but it was you have to go down these paths to try them out.
You do, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I did the No Escape EP with Pat, I mean, he was going, the one problem with your music is it's not consistent. There's different styles all over, and it is, it's a 5-track EP, but the first one's kind of a funk rock thing, and then there's an acoustic blues thing, and then there's kind of a progressive power rock, power pop song, followed by honest to God pop song, and then folk rock,
cool.
Kind of a singer-songwriter type thing. So
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I love that kind of stuff where it just throws you. It's not like I sort of liken the a lot of the albums that are out right now. It's you're basically touring a neighborhood, and what I like to hear is when you're basically taking somebody on a tour of not just the neighborhood, this whole city and the surrounding areas kind of stuff. You want to see everything about this place, this artist, what have you. What can you do? And what, push yourself outside your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I think it used to be that people would embed themselves in a specific scene, whether it was the New York punk or whatever was available at the time. And nowadays people are so interested in a variety of things and a broad base of things that.
Oh my God. Yeah. There's like just looking at my kids' playlists of stuff.
Yeah.
Like my daughter is into K-pop and my son is into video game stuff, jazz, singer-songwriter stuff, and anime soundtracks, and it's like, holy cow, like classical. He's like going to school listening to like Beethoven symphonies and stuff, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, like
I would have been caught dead with a symphony in my CD player. It's like, geez.
Yeah, there's no stigma anymore. Right?
I know.
There used to be that you had to be part of AC.
Yeah.
But not so much now.
Yeah, and I gotta admit, like when I'm driving my daughter to school and she puts in her K-pop stuff like Twice and Blackpink and all these bands you tell people and they've never heard of. It's cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like half this, like there's half English, but it's half Korean and stuff. But like they're experimenting with a lot of different things that I would like to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with J-pop and J-rock.
Oh yeah,
Japan,
yeah.
Right, obviously, so I'm also familiar with some of what's been happening in K-pop too. But one of the reasons Marty Friedman from Megadeth ended up wanting to create a career in Japan and sign on a label there was because he realized there was no boundaries in terms of what you could do with the music. So you could combine enka, like traditional Japanese folk music, with heavy metal guitars, and I think it was totally okay.
Yeah, you just look at everything that's coming out of Japan. It's like you look at their game shows. It's like, what?
Yeah, the variety shows, the game shows. Yeah, there's some weird stuff for sure.
There's some really weird stuff.
Yeah,
but it's all up to experimentation. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's so cool. What's happening? Yeah, your pop music could actually have like a 7 chord progression.
Yeah,
you never hear that here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Most of the time you're lucky if you get 5 chords these days.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. So my son, he's like learning guitar and stuff, and he's like, he laughs every time. It's just, it's another 4-chord progression.
Yeah.
So,
I did that too. Yeah. In the early days of developing, and then you hear something really cool. I'm going to go try it. And then you realize it's power chords.
yeah. Yeah.
Lots of rock songs and punk songs and even metal songs
Yeah.
are just built around those progressions.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you can get really great leverage out of them, mind you, but
Of course.
yeah. Well, let's talk about gear for a second, maybe.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you using these days?
Well, most of the stuff, all my instruments and stuff is driven off my Mac Pro. I use Logic as my workstation, and I don't really have any specific. I guess the favorites that I use these days in terms of software synths are. I've got a few Spitfire libraries, East West. I've got Native Instruments. I use a lot of the stuff that's stock in Logic. For $200, they pack a whole lot of shit in there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
When they were able to acquire Alchemy from Camel Audio as a software synth, that was wow. It's like sort of like. You don't need to go and get the Omnispheres or what have you out there. It actually it's a great little synth. In terms of like audio plugins and stuff, really I use the stock stuff in Logic.
Wow.
There's a couple of things that I'll use from Waves that you just don't get with the Logic plugins. Some of the metering stuff, I use external stuff. There's a couple of reverbs and delays that I'll use external stuff. Saturation they lack, so I have a couple of tape saturation or tube saturation plugins that I'll use. But most of the stuff, like we were saying, is all in the box. I used to have racks of synths. I had like Yamaha Tritons, Emu stuff, and it got to the point where I just wasn't using them anymore. I wasn't even powering them up. And it was just so much easier to throw up a software synth and use that. And because you got the total recall, all the tweaks you've made on the parameters and stuff get recalled back up kind of thing. You don't have to send the continuous controller special MIDI messages to reset things. And it was just, everything being in Logic and on the machine in software form, it just makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
What's funny was at one of the local post houses, and they haven't updated their systems for a long time. And it was one of those ones where I just walk in and they're actually using an old IBM 8088 computer as their master clock.
Yeah.
And like synchronizing all these machines and stuff that were networked together. And it was just like, it was painful to watch. Like it sounded good, but it was painful to watch them try to juggle all these pieces of technology that were all being synced externally. And when you go to a modern or like a more modern, up-to-date post house, it's the same sort of thing. Everything's on one box.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have like a
backup
kind of slave box or something like that. But it was like
or server.
But everything is in the box, like everything.
I know, that's the crazy part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't quite as much necessity to geek out over the gear.
No, I know. It's basically what are your inputs, and I typically just use my Focusrite Sapphire.
Focusrite's great.
Yeah, and it's got like the two, and then whenever I brought drums and stuff, it has an ADAT, and so I just rent one of those Digi 8 inputs, and I was able to add like 8 mic inputs to that, and it was able to show. They were able to show up, but then I wrote everything out through my central station, and I have. Atom A7s as my main monitors and Event 2020s as my, just double check monitors kind of thing. And that's about it. That's
Wow.
a couple of keyboards. I have a Rolly Seaboard Black, which is fun. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the analog digital debate? Things have changed so much.
Well,
right?
in my industry, I don't think there is any debate. It's
Right.
just all digital.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no
the
way people would
composing.
use analog at all. But you know, it's, I forget who said it. It's like you're not recording something for engineers. You're recording it for the general public, and they
That's
don't really
true.
give a shit
No.
like what you're doing it on. So if you like analog and you like the sound of it and you like the workflow, go with it. If you like digital, all in the box stuff, go with that too. But yeah, no, it's, if anybody worked in analog in the film industry, it would be death knell for their project.
Right. Nice. Yeah, I mean, in the consumer side of things, I mean, you can give them something that's MP3, right, and compressed, and the whole lossless audio thing was something Neil Young did a little venture into
Yeah,
there,
the Pono thing.
Pono,
yeah. Oh God. What is he, like 70 years old now?
Yeah.
His hearing that can't even tell. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Not the worst idea, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
not destined to
No.
for success in any way.
Yeah.
Definitely. And even Tidal was kind of a total shit show when they launched it.
Yeah. They're still in business though. Right?
Yeah, they're still going.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay-Z can keep it afloat, I'm
I'm
sure. But
yeah. It's like whatever. That's the same thing. It's like, you know, there's a niche group that would appreciate it.
yeah,
But it's not, you know, for the vast majority of it, and I've had this argument with people, is that the consumer consumes music in a passive form.
yes,
Active listening is not something that the vast majority of people do.
it's
And
just for the hipsters right now.
yeah, and convenience is key.
Yeah.
So if it's not convenient for the consumer to listen to while they're vacuuming or walking the dog or driving in the car and stuff like that, they won't care. What is going to get them their music fastest and easiest?
Mm-hmm.
Some other people will just basically want to, you know, invest the time to be able to sit down in the sweet spot and listen to music. That's sort of the same thing with the DVD audio and a super audio CDs that came out, like, I think it was 2 decades ago or something. People are trying to re-release albums in surround sound. That was the same sort of thing. I bought into that, and I said, oh, this is going to be so cool. And, you know, quickly found out, like, after a few listens to the CD and you get over the hump of, okay, this sounds pretty cool, I can't take this anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I have to, like, carve out this hour time to sit in one spot and appreciate the surround sound mix,
Yeah.
and that's it. And you can't do anything else, and it's like, I think there's only a few people that will be able to do that and appreciate it and do it consistently, but I think most people out there, no.
It's funny how we thought that's the way things were going about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, no, it is funny.
Surround sound and high quality sound and all this.
Yeah, no, and it works in a home theater standpoint because you have to sit in front of a TV, and you're forced to be in one spot and, you know, get the sound. But, you know, from an audio standpoint,
Yeah.
no.
And I've certainly taken some chances in that regard. Like my latest release, I guess this is the second time I've done a release like this that was like rough around the edges, not the best takes in the world.
Yeah.
You know, some of the harmonies aren't quite right, but guess what? It's my new project.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Yeah, here
I
you
put it
go.
out into the world, and there's no blowback. People don't mind hearing kind of the behind the scenes, you know, the inside, the inner circle,
Yeah.
you know, stuff you had sitting on your hard drive for 2 years kind of stuff.
No.
People don't mind at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, even people like Rivers Cuomo, and I'm sure there's plenty of others that have put their rough demos and early takes out there. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Yeah.
I think they even did that with Jimi Hendrix material, and maybe they're still doing it. I don't know. I'm not up to that side of things anymore, but I used to follow that, and they would put out, take 38 of Purple Haze or whatever it was. And I was like, okay, so are you guys going to re-releasing like take 1, take 2, take 3? Like,
God, yeah.
Over the years, like at that point, I don't know. I don't know if I want to hear it, but...
Yeah. No, I found like some of that stuff's fascinating. Like when the Beach Boys released their they're basically raw vocal tracks on some of their stuff, and you just listen to that and you realize there's no auto-tune on this.
No,
and
that's real singing.
Those guys nailed it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
There's few bands that do that anymore, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Def Leppard or Beach Boys is a great one. Beatles did it very well too.
Yeah. So that's when it gets cool. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm not really into the whole. I'm not like the super fan who wants to listen to like
the deep catalog. There's no point anymore, right? There's so much music.
Yeah. So. Exactly.
And that was on the point of real singing. Like there's the wispy millennial small-mouthed, sort of.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I feel like it maybe started around John Mayer,
Oh my gosh.
times.
Yeah.
And, oh my God. I hope that ends soon.
Yeah,
that trend.
Watching the YouTube video on how to sing like a hipster. That's hilarious. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm subjected to this music everywhere I go in the public, so I'm being facetious, but
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man, we've gone for almost an hour. What do you think?
Wow. I think this has been great conversation.
Yeah.
And if we want to catch up again, obviously at some point we probably could. So yeah. Thanks for joining me, Dave.
No problem.
Thanks for your time and generosity.
It's a pleasure. It's awesome to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too. Yeah, it's been good hanging out.
Yeah, up until like a couple weeks ago, we'd only been ever talking on email or over Skype.
Yeah, that's right. So it's great to actually meet. It's always a different experience when you've known someone from the digital world and then meet them in person.
It's weird.
It can be weird. Yeah, you'd be forewarned, but once you get comfortable, it's good.
No, it is cool. It's cool. It's glad you can come over to the studio and see it.
No, it's awesome. Yeah. It's a weird feeling, having seen. I think you posted pictures on a blog or somewhere of it being built all those years ago, and then actually being in that room is kind of it's a very weird feeling. But it's awesome.
Yeah, getting kicked out of the house and being put in the garage was it's the guy who used to own this place used this as a woodworking shed.
Yeah.
You can't even fit a car through that door.
No, it doesn't look like you could.
So I basically boarded it all up and put up the Roxel everywhere, and it's pretty well dead. I think there's like a very
it's pretty dead in here.
It's a pretty minimal reflection time in here if there is any. But yeah, I love being in here. It's great.
But if you're in Vancouver, you need a small car, right?
No, you got a bike everywhere.
Oh, okay. That's the trick. Yeah. Well, I should be used to it. I lived in Japan, and the streets are even more narrow than here.
Oh, so. They would be one day.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, it was great talking with you.
Great talking with you, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
So I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Dave Chick. I know that we both had a lot of fun. I just wanted to let you know real quick that the Music Entrepreneur Code is now available for pre-order on Amazon. So you can go to musicentrepreneurhq.com/buy code. That's BUYCODE to pre-order your copy of the Music Entrepreneur Code. Again, if you'd like to get the Kindle version, paperback versions are coming, but if you'd like to pre-order the Kindle version, you can go to musicentrepreneurhq.com/buy code. That's BUYCODE. Thank you for listening. Music in this episode was brought to you by Brian Young. Wherever you're listening to this right now, please consider leaving a 5-star review and comment to help us get the word out about the podcast.